good to be here again. We already have base chain, GM. I'm super excited to be here again with Doc for such a wonderful collection. How are you, Doc?
GM, doing just fine. Happy to be here. Really love this live streaming format. Think something you should do much more often, by the way.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
looking forward to the conversation and also our guest who's going to join us in addition a bit later on. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
So,
alert.
but no, looking forward to the convo. Yeah,
Don't lie. You told me that it was a difficult week. It's okay. It's okay.
it was a difficult week, but now it's good because I'm here. So this is I'm in my comfort zone now.
Well, we are in our own metaverse, in our own gallery, so it's always fine. And you're right. I need to do more shows. I'm even starting to. I think that I'm going to start doing solo shows. We'll see. I just need to figure out the topics that I can share on X. But yeah, I'll try to do that. Well, guys, today we're here to talk a little bit about Portraits of Dissonance. So it's a very small collection that we have been working on with Doc. Great job, Doc, already. I just want to congratulate you on that. It's great, and I want to show to the people everything that we have done. Right? It has been like now 3, 4, 5, 6 months that we have been, starting teasing things, showing things, and now we're finally ready to release it. So yeah, are you happy about that?
Very happy. There's always this build up, and I mean, particularly with this because there's
Yeah.
so many parties involved, right? So the complexity of this small collection. So if you look at the number of pieces and the complexity that went into it, be it
Yeah.
the logistics, the collaborations, all of that, it's not really reflected by the size of the collection, which for me makes it just even more worthy in terms of how much was condensed into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No,
of
that.
course, once you see the website is up, the pieces are inscribed, the
For sure.
wonderful co-curators, the holders of My Brain on Chain,
Mm.
who made this possible in the first place. And I did the count again. It's really 18 of the My Brain on Chain collectors actually participated in the co-curation in one way or the other, which I think is an astonishing outcome.
Mhm.
So massive shout out to all of those guys
Oh, we're
and
gonna
ladies,
talk
of
a lot
course.
about that. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's true that it has been a lot of work and also a lot of difficulties in Las Vegas, for example, when they're stressed by all the events. We had to deal with the physical piece. So now I have to say that even if I love the collection, I'm happy we are near the I just want to know who collects them, and I'm sure that's gonna be great collectors because, as I said, only 6 pieces, and one is already sold. So yeah, it's very small for the work that we did, but that if a collection needs that amount of work and we want to do it, that's what we had to do, and that's what we did. So, and it's perfect for the end of the summer, I guess. Okay. Well, guys, we're gonna start talking about POD, but just before that, I wanted to ask a couple of questions to Doug so you can all understand how he started all this process and why he created Portraits of Dissonance. I think that your story is very important. We're also going to talk a little bit about Mbok for those who don't know. But yeah, just before that, guys, please, if you can like and retweet the space as always, it helps us to get the visibility that some people think we deserve. Thank you for that. Well, let's go. Doc, I had a couple of questions prepared for you. First of all, I wanted to ask you about Mbok, that you tell us about My Brain on Chain, and maybe tying that to what you are bringing into the world that wasn't here before.
Gladly so. So MBOC, which is the abbreviation for My Brain on Chain, was my debut on ordinals. Yeah, it's. I think you pulled it up to the screen there.
We're getting
It was
professional
kind of
here.
it was I was in this wonderful and still am actually in this wonderful Twitter group of compressionists. So artists who are really interested in fully on-chain work and putting fully on-chain work out there and tinkering around with all these these different forms of compressionism or downsizing files or artworks to a size where inscribing those is somehow, financially feasible and reasonable overall. And when I joined that group and sort of coming from the trad NFT space, if you like, and creating, huge files because I just didn't have real limitations there. The idea grew on me that if you work fully on chain, because that somehow is important to you, you have to come up with something that comes with a size that actually fits the chain. And compressionism is not just about downsizing a file, it's about simplifying a concept in a way that it can be broken down to something that actually works fully on chain. You cannot just take anything and just downsize and have a blurry image and then inscribe it. You can do so technically. The question is why? So I came up with this idea of trying to put the most or the most possible form of condensation into an artwork. And for me, that was my brain on chain. So I took the anatomical foundations of my creativity. So any creative impulse or artwork I had created, am currently creating, or might possibly create in the future, um, sort of mirrored by the anatomy. It's an MRI scan of my brain, an actual MRI scan of my brain. And I took those slices and then laser engraved them into floppy disks, the way you see it just there on the screen right now. And by doing so, I kind of played with this medium of the floppy disk, which, just like the blockchain, was not really intended to carry art or to serve as a canvas for art, but we're just happily misusing this technology to do so anyway. And by kind of laser engraving this data archiving technology, this very old data archiving technology, it kind of mirrored what we're doing by inscribing something onto the Bitcoin blockchain. We actually use a storage of information and put something on it. Some people might consider art, or I consider art. And I really like the idea. First of all, I'm a medical doctor, pediatrician, so just having the thought of my medical records are on chain felt kind of rebellious. On the other hand, of course, it's the ultimate doxing experience, right? So people actually have your neuroanatomy now on full display.
Mm. Yeah,
But
now you're bringing it to the next level because you're also, as you said, using it as a reference, as a strong foundation for your work on Bitcoin. So I'm very glad that we did that together. By the way, I remember when you first told me about it, and it's like, okay, we need to do that. Thanks, Coach Fox, for introducing us. But yeah, now collectors of my brain on chain are involved in the next steps, what you are building here on Bitcoin, and what we're going to talk about it, Portraits of Dissonance. So the idea here was really to connect with the collectors that understand and that also resonate with you, with what you said. My brain on chain is not an art that's for everyone, maybe not everybody is gonna like this type of art or even understand it or think it's art, but those who resonate are now following you and are somehow connected because they own a slice of the artist, part of your brain. And how does that work? How do you see that in the future? Because now with portraits, you work together. Is that something that you want to continue doing?
that's a very important question, actually, because
Mm-hmm.
what I tried to introduce, circling back to your question of what are you bringing into the world that hasn't been there before, perhaps in that regard, is um, what I very much liked or took the greatest interest in the creation process was this concept of ordy objects. It's kind of a term I just invented because I like this duality of having a physical artwork that coexists in this digital realm. So you always have this contrast of something that is somehow deemed to disintegrate at some point. Like a floppy disk has a storage life of 15 to 20 years, and then the data gets corrupted. And you contrast that object by having it in this other realm. And I think that's something. in this digital era we are now living through with blockchain technology and all of that, we are somehow changing the nature of objects by having them coexist in these two realms. So
Oh, yeah.
the idea of order objects is something I'm trying to introduce to the world because I just think it's super interesting. There's so much to explore in that regard.
Hmm.
Now, what I usually don't like about collections is that we do have this tendency in the space. There is a drop, then you move on, then there is a drop, then you move on, then there's a drop, and the caravan continues. And I think one of the things, if you work on such a prestigious medium like Bitcoin, it is important to think a bit of a bigger picture there and to really connect the dots and take things and sort of allow an evolution of not only your collectors but also your art from one spot to another.
Hmm.
And in this particular case, I wanted to take that as literal as possible. So with my brain on chain, I kind of decentralized the artist's mind. And
Hmm.
of course, the next logical step was to use this decentralized self, if you like, and invite these fragments of you, or the holders of these fragments of yourself, to actually play the active role in the curation of Portraits of Dissonance, which, in contrast to My Brain on Chain, which was very much looking inwards into the
Hmm.
neuroanatomy, is now looking outwards, sort of using the face, the social surface as the main subject.
Hmm.
And again, I was really blown away by how many My Brain on Chain collectors actually participated in this exercise.
Hmm.
I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to the curation part,
I
regardless of
know
how
that.
big or small the collections are. And giving up that kind of control on
Yeah.
the perhaps most crucial step when it
Hmm.
comes to making a collection work or fail. Um, yeah, I can't really deny that I did have my moments late at night where I looked at the ceiling and said, "Oh
I
dear,
remember
let's
when
see
we
what
talked about that, when we had
what,
the
what
idea of
people
saying,
come
okay,
up
let's
with."
do that. You were
What
like, oh my God, I don't know if people are going to to resonate with my choices. And actually, I think that you have been
No,
kind of
and by the
surprised, right?
way, by
Yeah.
the way, they didn't. To
No, they
some
didn't.
degree, they
Okay.
didn't. But I think that's just in a way so beautiful
Yeah.
because the theme of this collection is dissonance and the
Hmm.
dissonance we all carry inside. This illusion of identity as something somewhat stable, and kind of cracking that myth open quite a bit. And that was, in a way, an act of performance art, if you like, really seeing this dissonance unfold in front of you. Now, interestingly, if you zoom out and look at what collectors overall selected,
Hmm.
it was quite interesting that even though there were so many, um, they all selected three pieces at the
Yeah.
end where they said, well, this would be our priority of choice. And if you look at those overlaps, you actually come up with these six selected portraits where then again you did have this overlap. So the integrate disintegration of the artistic self, sort of from thought, my brain on chain, to the audience, and now you have this feedback loop back into the artwork, kind of closing the cycle there.
Hmm. And I love that because you just said before that you also wanted to tie that to Bitcoin, and here it just looks like you are building your own artistic story on chain, and you are connecting everything, and you want to have this continuity in your work, and writing it on chain. So if people want to analyze it afterwards, they'll be able to also connect the dots and understand the story and really tell your story as it was, and that's super cool. And it all started with my brain on chain, the first human brain on the Bitcoin blockchain. Guys, just very quickly, here I'm showing the website. Um, for those who don't know, you can always go to vivid.gallery, so you can also see the page by yourself and scroll it as you want, even if we have it as a support here. But yeah, let's talk about Portraits of Dissonance, because now that people have selected these six artworks, we want to understand also why. Why did you decided to create Portraits of Dissonance? We understand now how you wanted to do it by the help of my brain on chain collectors. But tell us a little bit about your story. We know that you are you worked in the humanitarian field. Is it somehow tied to the concept behind Portraits of Dissonance, to these very unsettling portraits?
I think like probably most of my work it is on 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 some layer, and I think here the layer is pretty close to the surface. So yeah, just a few words about myself. So as I mentioned, I'm a medical doctor by profession, research background in public health with a sort of focus on post-conflict health system reconstruction, a line of work that made me end up in quite a few quite conflictive
Mm,
places. So I
can imagine.
worked in the Afghan-Pakistan border region for a couple of years. I was stationed in northern Iraq during the siege of Mosul and ISIS and everything going on. Um, Multiple trips to Afghanistan, all of that, and kind of spent, I think, roughly 5 years of my life in that professional field before I, started a family and my wife said, adventure time is over now. I came back to Germany and then I'm working in my clinical
Bitcoin
practice.
adventure starts now.
Bitcoin adventure started, exactly. And of course, if what I noticed there, when you have this life in Germany, and of course, going through your clinical education and
Hmm.
particularly in pediatrics, perhaps, of course, it kind of takes a toll on you. And then you go out of that context, disappear for several years, are confronted with the worst atrocities imaginable, are kind of dealing with that in the first line of defense, and then you return, and there's a little baby, and there's your wife, and there's your day job, and you work back into the clinic as if nothing happened. And I think around that time, it going out there and working in these contexts for so many years, I actually coped with that pretty well. That of course, I had my bad moments.
Hmm.
Um, it was tough on the mental toll at times, but for some reason, I had enough resilience to actually get along with my job pretty well and slept well at night. Coming back was much more difficult. And that was something I didn't really expect, because you had all these stories, these impressions, these ruptures of what humanity is doing out there. And you couldn't really share those because, it's something actually when I talk to some people in the space who are coming more from the veteran side of things, that there are certain things you can only talk to with people who were there
Hmm.
and kind of know how it felt and smelled and all of that.
Hmm.
So you come back, you have all this kind of baggage carrying around. You cannot really share it that well, but you somehow have to function anyway. And that was actually the first time where I noticed sort of little cracks. I said, well, actually, they're so opposing, so vastly different parts of myself, and how I behave, how I talk, all of that, which I somehow have to stitch together, and I have to do so really quickly because I just started a small family and all of
Yeah.
that, so I had to function.
Hmm.
And this theme of functioning despite the inner ruptures you might hold within yourself, somehow holding it together. Um, I think that's kind of a theme that I felt adequate as a successor of something that looked into the mind,
Hmm.
because that was all very neuroanatomy. The neuroanatomy, it was very accurately depicted on the anatomical kind of plane, but I thought it now would be actually logical or a good next step, perhaps, to have something which is more accurate on the emotional level,
Hmm.
if you like.
Well,
And the
that's
result
really
were
something that we see a
these
lot in this collection. That's for sure. Like, and also people even notice it when you read at the curation statements by the collectors of My Brain on Chain. Literally, what you said is something that they also felt looking at the portrait. So your experience in all of your work is painted here, and that's crazy. I don't know if you did it in purpose, or is it just, as you said, all of your work is of course based on what you lived, or did you really wanted to do a collection about that?
Well, I think the latter, to be clear. And just coming back to these curational statements, as an artist, if you put work out there, you have two ways of kind of dealing with that. You put it out and you say, well, now the art lives for themselves. And that's actually my take on it. Now you give some context, you provide some, context information about the intention behind it, the technical details, if you like. But at the end of the day, it's somehow develops this life of its own. And
Mm,
with the co-curational statements here, that was quite the emotional roller coaster because, as you just said, so many of the collectors saw
mhm,
things in there and expressed them in their words so much more accurately than I could have expressed them
mhm,
by writing. Yeah, but just spot on.
mhm,
And even when you had, and that's something which is actually possible with some of the portraits, even if you had descriptions about the work that were somehow drifting from one another, or were looking at very different aspects, they were still true. I mean, it was difficult to then, synthesize them together and have one co-curational
of
statement, of
course.
course. Um, but people, even those who saw different aspects in there, they really saw what I hoped people to see. You
And it's
never
funny
really know
because
if they will see it.
you mentioned that it was difficult for you to talk about these kind of things, or at least to make people understand these kind of feelings and what you saw and what you experienced. But through Portraits of Dissonance, at least my brain on chain collectors, or part of them, understood that. So you accomplished your mission, I guess.
I guess so. And by the way, like when I went through the co-curational statements, I kind of showed them, to my wife this one evening,
Hmm.
and I said, "Well, listen, this is so accurate and so well put." And she said, "Well, does that have to do with?" And she recalled a little episode
Hmm.
um, she knew vaguely about, and so yeah, a lot was dragged into the light here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man. Well, I have to congratulate you for like wanting to share a little bit about your experiences through this collection, because I guess that must be something very very hard, and that you didn't do a lot, and that you must trust people that you talk about that. So here through Portraits of Dissonance, you shared a little bit of that with everyone on Bitcoin. So yeah, it must have been hard, and thank you for that, and for doing that with us, of course.
It's,
You,
it's,
you,
it's been my pleasure. I think you just opened it. I
yeah,
think
you
it's a
know how
wonderful
much it
piece you
resonates
wrote
with
there.
me. So I love that.
No,
Uh,
I think what you wrote there about les gueules cassées,
yeah.
that's also again one of those references where I said, all right, I just teamed up with the right gallery. If you if you show an artwork and then your gallerist comes back with this in writing, and we hadn't really talked about these war torn kind of things in that context. It's just so spot on. So we're dealing with a gallery who has a deep understanding of their artists here. Hats off to you there.
No, you just got lucky, because that's a topic that I really studied a lot. I actually started getting interested in art through that. It was kind of funny. I did my high school, or even just before, like I was maybe 14 or 15, project about art, about the art around Les Gueules Cassées. And when we started working on Portraits of Dissonance, I was like, oh my god, this is so connected to that. And yeah, for those who don't know, like you have here an image of some of the soldiers from World War One, and and yeah, to me, Portraits of Dissonance really connected with the topic of legal cassé, because these portraits are hurt, and somehow they cannot heal, because the technology isn't there. They didn't. You couldn't heal what they felt and why they are hurt. In the same way of Les Gueules Cassées, who at the end of the day came back by saying, okay, this is how I am now, and this is also a representation of what happened, of who I am now, and who I will ever be. This is a part of me right now, and I have to accept it. And yeah, that's something that I felt a lot through Portraits of Dissonance too. So I'm happy
And
that we connected on that.
if I can add, I mean, now we sort of we described this kind of very conflict, war torn kind of background in that regard, but I think, and that also became apparent in the co-curation of statements. You can move it beyond that on some kind of meta level, if you
Mm-hmm.
like. And one of the things I really liked in one of the comments is that it was something that we of course we have this world, the contemporary lens is completely shaped by conflict, with huge migration going on, with trauma, digital overload, things happening with AI. So this fragmentation of human identity is really the human experience and the human reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like perhaps most harmless form of it is, if you look at our digital identities on X, and people just swapping back and forth between their portraits, like their PFPs. That's like a, a, a very subtle kind of hint at how we kind of change our faces or our public appearance in this space. So stability and wholeness is the actual illusion here. And I think if you create work using all these very contemporary technologies, you kind of, if you want to deal with the subject of portraiture in particular, it does kind of call for you breaking with this historic tradition of
Mm-hmm.
portraiture, which usually is about idealizing something or making sure that you immortalize cohesion and beauty. And I think with Portraits of Dissonance, what we accomplished was that we could actually offer something much more contemporary that perhaps mirrors the dissonance and fragility of our times
Mm-hmm.
much more accurately.
Yeah, it's a great representation, as you said. Like it, I think that portraiture nowadays, like we don't see that much portraiture nowadays, and it's funny because some people are also trying to find how it's going to be the next era of portraiture, and I think that what you said is completely correct. Nobody really like it's hard to find these kind of portraits that talk about the damage that everybody lives today in our society, because it's not physical damage, or in most of Occident, of course, I'm talking here, but somehow you also manage to translate that into a visual representation of a portrait, because all the portraits are hurt, but as we know by the descriptions and about the concept of the collection, is that they are hurt by IRL experience that are more psychological and a little bit like you also experience yourself, and that's what you wanted, like what we were saying here about the paint attacks. You are not seeking beauty, you are seeking truth, and I think that that's very beautiful, and that's what we need today, because not a lot of people actually talk about the truth, or there are different truths, or do people really want the truth? That's also a question that we can ask ourselves in today's society.
And that's actually an important question, because the main theme here is, as it's something which is not intended to end up in some wallet, and then every now and then you kind of scroll through it. It does come with at least the option to create these pretty massive physical paintings. And I'm fully aware that this is not art for everyone. It does call for collectors who are willing to confront themselves with
Yeah.
this, and I'm
Well,
I'm
I can
fully
imagine having
certain.
this painter at home. I think that you first need the wife to accept that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, certainly.
it's something
Um,
that not everybody wants to have at home, I guess. But those who want, it's like this daily challenge of reminding you you're inner confrontations, and that's great. But just before we go into detail about that, I wanted to quickly answer two things about the collection that I already received by one of our collectors. First is about the creational statements, because we've been talking about that and we know about it, but people don't know how they are
Ah, yeah,
actually translated on
sure.
chain. So I just wanted to quickly show that, and maybe also if you can explain how do we do that, you know?
Yeah, certainly. So I did lean a bit into what I learned about qualitative research. When doing surveys and stuff like that here, on a very basic level. So basically, we invited holders of My Brain on Chain to go through the collection, to select three pieces, and then to kind of write a statement about what they see in those, what they feel about them, why they think those are important or not. Just very freely, and just sharing their thoughts, their very unfiltered first emotional impressions, and putting those into words. And they did so.
Hmm.
And what we ended up doing was kind of selecting the work, seeing, okay, which piece got how many votes, if you like, and then what were those curational statements. And then I kind of marked every curational statement, arranged the key themes, isolated those, and then sort of wrote that together, put it through an AI to make sure that the wording and everything fit. Then what you do is you take the final text, you go back to these, let's say, six individual statements,
Hmm.
and then you kind of cross-reference the themes. So for each of these co-curational statements, there's basically a raw version where behind each sentence you could kind of have the quote, like, which co-curator addressed this theme or this topic. It's not verbatim, right? It's not word by word. It's
Of course.
really what was the point they were getting at here.
Mm. But
And
it's, and in a way, it's very difficult also to first synthesize all the creation statements, but also for people to find the right words. And I think that that's where we're right, using an AI also to take that information, analyzing it, and putting the right words, making sure that it involves everyone. When I
but
look at
being,
the final creation statements, it works perfectly.
but still being the 40-year-old old schooler that I am, I couldn't go without this step of then taking that kind of AI synthesized version, but and kind of cross-referencing
Yeah.
to really make sure that the initial statements are still in there. Really going through it word by word and sentence by sentence,
Mhm.
because I like AI a lot, but it does strange things
I
sometimes. So I
agree.
just wanted to be double and triple sure
No, for
that this
sure.
is methodologically sort of correct. Yeah.
Well. So for those now who don't know, so all these creation statements are now on chain. So every piece is now inscribed. And what we did is we added this description in the metadata, and also for those who wanted, um, the co-curation mention. So here you have a few names, for example, for each piece, those who selected the piece, and yeah, that's very cool, because I don't know that if a lot of collectors are mentioned already in the blockchain. So maybe that's one of the first, and people really like that, and I guess that they will also love, just looking at every piece and saying, "Oh, here, there's my name." That's very
And
cool.
I think really, I mean, by the way, collectors probably don't really get the credit they deserve in this space anyway.
Yeah.
Because let's be very honest, none of this would be possible without people actually engaging with the art, collecting the art, pushing this whole space forward, and making sure that the lights are still on, and we're actually still able to create and put up with these sort of things. And in this particular case, it's really it's as important as the artist's signature here.
Mm.
It's really, for me, it's on the same level, if not even a bit higher, because this selection process, how it all came into being, how they described the work, then us also taking those descriptions to generate the titles for the individual artwork. So even the titles are actually sort of something that was born out of these co-curational synthesized or synthesis statements here. Um, I'm really happy that we were able to put that information on chain as well.
No,
It's just super important for the
I,
provenance of this
I
works.
think it is. I think it was also a very good idea, and also we left the option, of course, to the collectors. And by the way, I think it's time to bring our guest. So
Yeah,
yeah, as you know, we I invited one of your collectors. If I'm not mistaken, I think he collected your work on ETH, and he has a couple of paintings, I guess, of prints from the work that you did on it. We'll ask him, but yeah, I invited him and he participated in the curation. So let me just bring machine to the metaverse, and and we'll have his feedback on the creation process, and of course on the collection. Okay, yeah, we can see you now. Let's go. It worked. How are you, Machine?
What's up, everybody?
It's good to have you here. Welcome to the Vivid Gallery Metaverse. Are you happy to be
Thank
on
you,
the
thank you.
show?
I'm super stoked, man. You guys are both some of my favorite people in the space, and I
Thank
wouldn't
you,
do it
thank
just randomly for anybody. You know what I mean?
you. Thank you, thank you. That means a lot. Well, we have you here as a collector of My Brain on Chain, also part of other Docty's work. Base Chain. Oh shit. Base Chain wanted to come
It's a
too.
fact.
But yeah, we wanted to know. Oh, that's amazing. My Brain on Chain. So for those
You
who don't
can't
know
see
that,
it here, but I have a display above my computer that
okay.
displays my digital 24/7.
uh,
Well, so
Oh shit!
these are the collectors that we want. Okay. But yeah, machine, you participated in the co-curation experience. I want you to just tell us a little bit like about the experience. Did you like it? But first of all, like, were you surprised, or is it like the first time that an artist involves you that way? How do you feel
Um,
as a collector?
that specific way, it's the first time I've been involved. I've been involved in certain things with artists over the years because I've been an art lover for a long time, from
Okay.
traditional artists, graffiti artists, tattoo artists. But for this particular procedure, it was really cool just because for me, the name dissonance hit on so many different levels. Like the dissonance for me, my personal cognitive dissonance of my rhetoric versus my action in this scenario, which is I don't like red. Everyone that knows me knows I don't like red. And that's the rhetoric portion of it. Now, the action portion of it is although I don't like red, there are a few of these that I really do like. And one of them that like I'm borderline coveting. So the people that are like putting in, the recommendations for themselves to get this piece are gonna have to fight me. But on another level of dissonance is this entire space. The dissonance between what they think about their items, their collections, their wallets, and what reality is about those wallets, what the reality is about a lot of these things where people are saying, oh, this is art on chain. Um, Most of us can tell if it's actually art on chain or if it's not art on chain. And this is most certainly art on chain. This is not an entire space's cognitive dissonance of, oh, I'm going to say that this is it. This fractured collection that's probably not even all inscribed, like not with the details that this is for sure, it is something that like I'm just going to believe in for the rest of my life. It's just absolute cognitive dissonance in the space. And so this is like a play on that. It's a play on it for each individual. It's a play on it for Doc, and the way that you interpret not only every piece, but the way I've interpreted the word dissonance and the way that this is going to go for me personally and mentally, it's perfect. It goes individually with every single person's individual perspective, and I am of the highest regard, thinking that your perspective is your own, and no, nothing that anyone can say can or should change your perspective. You're an individual person. Like we could all take one standardized test. Millions of us take standardized tests, and they could group us into things. At the end of the day, that's bullshit because we are all very, very individualistic. And anything that you haven't learned yet, other people already know. So
Hmm.
you just can't be that cocky. And coming from
Yeah.
someone that's cocky,
Well,
you
speaking
just can't
about
do
truth,
it.
I guess that we had some here, and I think that a lot of people are going to resonate with what you say. So,
I think so, and like they resonate with the art, and it's not even just with what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like it's my statements are produced by this interaction, by the things that Doc brought on his
Hmm.
own from his own roots and then divided amongst us. Like I'm just
Hmm.
a teeny tiny portion, one individual's thought. I happen to have a piece of MBOC. My SO2 is amazing, and I'll keep it for the rest of my life. Um, but again, I'm just one drop in the bucket, and I'm so enthused that someone can do this in the waves and oceans of BS that exist.
Well, we're trying to survive here, and also want to be the change that we want to see in the space, And well, the thing is, it's true, but there are also a lot of talented people, and as you can see, for example, Doc T. And I think that's what matters at the end of the day, and we see the right people also connecting with that. So I see your like kind of pessimistic vision, and I agree with what you say. But I do have a very optimistic vision because when I see what we managed to do, connecting the 30 collectors of My Brain on Chain, having most of them participating in the creation. Like, did you even thought that your descriptions, your feelings were going to be translated in the Bitcoin blockchain? Come on, like when we shared that, you were like, I'm just going to complete these forms and fuck them.
No, it's super cool. And like, I know that I'm one of the Anons in there. And all that I need to know for the rest of my life is that I'm one of those Anons. Doesn't matter what number it is. You know what I mean? I know that I
Mhm.
contributed to this, and it's important to me, and that's why I took part in it.
Okay, so that was one I think, Doc. Maybe that's a right question because you talk about that. Do you really feel then include like that you really participated in the creation? Because for Doc, you do, and also for us, the collectors that answer those questions, you really are part of the creation of this collection. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like the way that Doc said that he spoke to his wife about certain items, and then she had certain things to say about that in relation to the things that other people had said. Like it
Mhm.
just goes full circle. And having a wife myself, like I know, like what he said about that, and what he also said about maybe you don't want to bring one of these pictures home. You have to check with the wife first. And it's like, you know what? Like, sorry, I brought this home, and here's like a little backstory why. And like, if that individual doesn't see, you know, the connection there, then maybe I made the wrong wife choice. No, I'm just kidding.
If it goes that far, we don't want you to go that far, guys. Well, Doc. Okay, so you managed to do what you wanted, Doc. How do you feel about that? Because I think that machine is a great example, of course, but I do think that also most of the people that participated in the co-curation feel that way. We'll see in the next weeks.
I actually like that a lot, and the fact machine that you are sort of an anon in this co-curation thing, of course, cries out for this kind of ghost in the machine reference now. But so that has been accomplished. No, but I'm very glad to hear that, and I think what you just mentioned there, that of course, this is very the work is created, or the this pretty vast selection of works that was created, with which we started before it was curated down to these final six pieces there. Of course, it comes from an individual perspective, but having something that you just don't create in your little chamber, and it's so meaningful to you, end of story. That for me, that would not kind of reach the what I want to reach with my art, which is to somehow get this connection to the audience. Because again, that's for me the most enjoyable part of this entire space. It's that it allows us to actually create this proximity between the work, the collectors, or whoever enjoys the work, and the artist. We can do so on social media. We have our Discord channels in which we can do that. And now we kind of all went through this process of doing so, with at the end coming up with something where the artist's individual perspective was perhaps the starting point, or what kind of gave this thing some kind of direction. But now that the work is out there in these six little fragments of a fragmented artistic mind now, it still allows each individual, even if you say you're just this one little drop in the bucket, I think was the term. But it still allows this kind of connection to the work, and that's the greatest compliment there is. That it's not just some Teflon surface where you look at it and just nothing, it just all drips down, but that it's actually something where you allow yourself to throw a hook into. That's the greatest compliment there is.
No, that's super cool. Well, Machine, I'm gonna ask you about your favorite piece in the collection, even if I think I know which one it is. But just before that, guys, for those who are interested in the collection, please go visit the website. You have all the information about what we're talking about, like the synthesis, and also there is this interest form here if you want to collect it. But we don't want to wait more. Please, Machine, tell us which one of these all having red artworks do you like the most?
Top row,
Top
second
row?
from the left.
Okay, so sorry, I misclicked. This one, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Why? Because is it because I think that here we are undervaluing the descriptions in all the artworks. Or for now, I really invite people to go read them and look again at the piece. Like see the piece, come back to the description, read it again 2 3 times, and then come back to the artwork. I think it changes the experience completely. So yeah, please tell us why, and maybe you can let us know which part of the synthesis is from you.
I'm not sure that I could like reveal the synthesis portion as I am the anon portion, but as far as what I'm saying as of right now, and why it connects with me the most is the feeling that I receive from this particular image is his own cognitive dissonance between the fact that he's shredded, like injured. It seems to me that like he's significantly injured to the point that you can't even see some of it, but his face and his air about him is pure defiance. Like none of this matters. I don't feel any of this. You can't even see any of this. It's just really just the defiant nature and feeling that I get from that on top of the fact that it's clear trauma, clear injury, and it's
Mhm.
just like almost saying pain is an illusion.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. And actually, I think it's something that we really also understand from the description. Well, Doc, does it resonate with you? Do you have the same opinion on your artwork?
Yeah, this is actually also my wife's favorite piece, by the way. This is the one
It's
was
everyone's
referenced.
favorite piece. We received already a few offers
The,
on
the,
this
the one I
one,
was,
and I think it's the most desired right now.
yeah, I mean the title is right. The time may have come,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Um, no, I really appreciate Machine what you said there, and I think what comes from this in a way is this realization that in one way or the other we are all survivors of some sort, and as you mentioned, there is the hurt. It's there. It's visible, but there's still a person standing pretty upright, right? So that's an accomplishment, a tremendous accomplishment. And I think we have this, if you look at all these influences on Instagram or something I deal with, for example, when I talk to my teenage patients, and they have these very idealized people out there they follow, and who have this apparently perfect lives out there, and they kind of compare that to themselves, and then realize, oh, my own isn't really able to keep up with that, and it's actually pretty broken. Um, Coming up with the realization of this is actual life. This is what the human experience usually looks at, and there's difference in how much hurt there is, or how much damage there is, but there is no point in crumbling. There's no point in denying that it's there. Sometimes the time may have come, to circle back to the title there,
Hmm.
to just realize, no, it is this togetherness of all the hurts that might have occurred, the fractures that have somehow ripped into you, but you're still standing upright. You're still there, and yeah. So again, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on that. And I know that this piece has gained some attention apparently.
Well,
Nice.
definitely now that we're all gushing over it.
Now it's
No, I
funny
don't
because
like this one. Everyone, just get the cigar one, okay?
let's go. It's funny what you say because then it means that also this collection is somehow comforting, even if that's really not the feeling that you got when you first see it, but it comforts you with your own feelings, with your inner self.
Relatability.
Exactly. So yeah, that's very deep and yeah. Well, guys, this is art on Bitcoin. So people say that there is no real art on Bitcoin. Please look at Portraits of Dissonance, and then no, but that's very cool. Okay, guys, let's come back to the collection page because I wanted to just finish talking a little bit about all the small details that we still have to talk about here. And I think that one very important part is the physical part of it. So this is optional, of course. If collectors just want the digital version, they can just have it. But yeah, as we said, if the wife wants it, you can have your own acrylic at home. And I love how you decided to create these paintings. We have a video here. So you decided to collaborate with, I don't know how to pronounce it, Matre Labs.
Meta Labs. Yeah.
Meta Labs.
Yeah.
So yeah, big shout out to them because they did an incredible job. For those who were in Las Vegas with us, you saw the first piece there. And yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about the physical part? How is it? How can people collect it also?
Sure. So I have worked together with Meta Labs. I think it was like 1.5 years ago, where they created a physical piece from one of my collections, and it is a robot-assisted painting, a robot-assisted acrylic painting. And back at the time, I was looking for options that go beyond a print. Prints
Mm-hmm.
are wonderful things, but particularly with this, more neo-expressionist style, almost impasto style, we have so much texture going on. Something acrylic feels more true to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the initial idea why I liked the concept of having these robot paintings was that I, I, I like for Portraits of Dissonance, where we have this decentralization of authorship already via this co-curation exercise, to then introduce the tension between this human co-curation, and now you introduce this mechanical execution of what has been curated. So while authorship is already dissolved or fragmented into all these co-curators, you now have this machine element into it, or in our case we have two machines, right? Machine and the machine which creates the robot
Or the
painting here.
object.
Exactly, but the labor, the creativity that goes into it, if you kind of combine that with robotics, you introduce this additional player. Because what and this is coming back to my fascination with the whole topic of already objects. You take something now from the digital realm and translate it into the physical. And of course, it's coming from something two-dimensional into something which, giving the thickness of the layers, is almost three-dimensional. You have all these grooves and so on and so forth. And what I liked about the collaboration with MetaLab is that it's not, you don't just send them the image and then they just create something. We
Yeah.
went through this process where they really create depth maps of the image, and you go through these little grooves and see where the impressions of the digital brush, if they're accurate or not. You go through the colors. It's incredible. It's tons of back and forth, which is happening there. But wonderful collaboration partners there. The head of them, Ben, has a huge background in sort of the technological side behind it. I think he originated from MIT or something, and has really dedicated, I think, the past 10, 15 years of his life into really refining this process and the technology behind it. It is pricey, but also very much worth it, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for me, I can only encourage everyone who wants to collect a piece to enter in this duality of the object, which would be the physical painting, and its digital counterpart. I think it does work together nicely.
Mm-hmm. Well, right. Well, we had the first one in Las Vegas, and it really gives you a different experience. And I think that having one at home is almost like this mini session of therapy every day when you look at it. You wake up. So yeah,
It,
I,
it
I
is
also
it
invite
is confrontational art. I
exactly.
think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah,
It's not.
confrontational
It
art.
doesn't serve a purely decorative purpose, which is
Well,
again why I'm
I think it
very
does.
curious
If
and
you like the
interested
piece,
about.
it does, right? If you like the
So
artwork, if you like the artwork, it does. To me, it's very decorative. Like I love it, and I have zero problem having something like this at home. I would love to, of course. But yeah, as I said, like I think that having this kind of artwork, and I think that it also connects with almost every physical piece in our ecosystem because we're so used, as you said, machine, to have it in your wallet, maybe scrolling it once a month, and you see it. Oh yeah, I have this in my wallet. Having something like this at home uh, connects you back to the space and to I think that what's positive about it because if you ended up with a physical piece at home from an ordinal or an NFT, it really means something. Usually, it means that you connected with the artist, with the project, whatever. So you come back to this dissonance you were telling us before. Well, you have this duality. Really, people that want also to be part of it and are here for the right reasons. And having a physical at home, I think it's one of the ways of showing it. So yeah. All right.
I
Okay.
also want the physical of the fist with the paintbrush. Can I have that one?
Oh yeah, we need to do that, Doc. I think that we did a mistake. We worked for months and months. We go through all this trouble on Portraits of Dissonance. Then one day you create an artwork to illustrate one of your ex posts, and it performs way better than anything else. So we should just
no, I actually posted that some time ago. It's and I just had this on Twitter. It went quite viral actually. It was just this
yeah,
image and then sort of weapon of mass liberation. That was
yeah,
just the post. It just blew
exactly.
up entirely. Yeah. So you're right. Next time it's all
Uh,
about brushes.
we'll do an open edition about that. Like it's literally the three people that I showed the website to before the show. They all told me, "Oh yeah, that this one is really cool. Can this one? How much is it? This one in the collection?" I was like, "No, this is not part of the collection." It's like, oh my
You're like,
god.
actually, that's a separate collection. There's 100 copies in there, point oh
Eh,
0.01 each.
exactly. So if you want it, please just contact us. Oh my god. But yeah, it's very very cool piece, Doc. Congrats. Okay, guys. So I think that we almost shared everything. So yeah, of course, people here remember if you are interested in collecting one of the portraits, just so you know, the first one is already sold. But if you go to our website, vivid.gallery, you will end up here, and then you can just go to the page and click here on add to your collection. You will have these short forms, and I think that we have to explain very quickly how it works. So as there are only 5 pieces left to sell, and we didn't want to end up in auctions or these kind of mechanisms, we did something new. So people can submit an offer. It's like, okay, yeah, I want this artwork, the number one, two, whatever, and just say how much you're willing to pay to support us. So that's also a very cool initiative, I think, from part of a collector. Sometimes they want to support, and as this is a very small collection, we wanted to allow collectors to do that to support future projects by the gallery or and by Doc. So you go here, you select your the artwork that you like, and as you can see here, you just enter an amount for the digital version. The idea is we'll wait a couple of weeks or so, and depending on the offers, we will contact you by saying, oh, there is this. You won because you have the highest offer, so you can collect it. You have the option. Otherwise, if there is no competing interest, well, the work is assigned to you for your amount. So yeah, feel free to make an offer because you are not losing anything, and if you are interested in the project, you may just having a piece for you, and then you have the option of taking the physical acrylic painting. Okay, so as we said, it's optional, and we just added an additional cost of 0.015 Bitcoin to cover all the the creation because, as I said, it's very expensive plus all the shipping, of course. So yeah, feel free to go to the website and make an offer if you like the collection. Just so you know, the first one is already taken. The second one, I think that someone will make a big offer because it really has a lot of success. And my favorite one is the third one, guys. I didn't mention that earlier, but I really connect with this one. I think it's amazing,
Right.
and yeah, this one is very unsettling. Like I think it's the most aggressive one from when you look at it. So I really like it. Well, guys, just before ending it, do you wanted to say something else? Maybe I forgot something, or Doc, what do you think?
Well, I think all
No?
that's left to say is again, huge shout out to Vivid, huge shout out to all the M-Book collectors, and of course also Machine that you take so much time out of your day and join us here today and share your thoughts. Super appreciated. And
Thank you so much, Machine. Yeah.
I just wanted to point out what you mentioned there at the end that when it comes to now making an offer or something like that, also to support the gallery, of course. From the artist's perspective, or someone who has now worked with Vivid for I think nearing a year now,
Hmm.
there's so much Vivid is doing for the artists. I had the pleasure of getting to know Gira in person during NFT Paris this year. They set up an amazing space in the little ordinal sections over there. They do tremendous work in seeking out opportunities for us artists to show our work, not only within this space, but also now venturing beyond it into more IRL settings and things like that. Those things are costly, so I think it's fair to say that the funds that go into Vivid, they're really translated into pushing art on Bitcoin further and really sort of demonstrating to the world what art on Bitcoin can be, how thoroughly it can be curated, and what high quality standards we can actually achieve, and making this a bit of a more serious setting, if you like. So that's money well invested.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc. Well, it's true. You are not only supporting the artist, but also the gallery. But when it comes to you and I, Doc, to Vivid and Doc, I think it's almost a single entity. We also include the Embok collectors in here. We are all one. But yeah, the thing is, the more budget we have, the more we can show about art on Bitcoin, the more exhibitions we can do, and the more cool projects we can do like that. Because the thing is, it's very tempting to always do these big collections, and yeah, it's easy because we involve a lot more people, and but these kind of things to me really deserve their space in ordinals. So yeah, thank you for all the people that already made offers, and if you are also making an offer, well, thank you so much. Be happy to connect. Well, and you, Machine, so you are going to wait, right, to the next collection of Dog Tea that doesn't have red. That's that's your plan, or what? It's crazy. Like I
Or,
love red.
I
I
mean,
don't understand how you cannot love red. Sorry.
well, everyone does. I'm just a aberrant. I'm definitely not normal in a lot of ways. But like Doc said, I could get that portrait here and grab a big old fat brush and change that red. But personally, I mean, I just like the fact that like it indicates blood coming from his neck on that particular one. Being someone that's
Mhm.
had 10+ surgeries, I've
Oh well.
gone through some damage. And just because I don't like red, like I said about my cognitive dissonance about this, doesn't mean that I don't like that particular piece. And all of the pieces really, like the palette itself is solid, regardless of the red. So
Hmm.
Yeah, but in fact, I would really love to see that. Sort of, if people took brushes and just reshaped these portraits and kind of added layers to that. Ah, that's a beautiful thought. Yeah,
Oh my God,
we have
what
to
a big
send
one.
around little packages with acrylic paint and brushes, Gerard. Yeah, we have to
Ah, yeah.
make
Well,
sure
I
we
I
like
get that
think
that.
that
in the
if we
room.
send that to Machine, we'll have a very interesting results. Yeah, I agree.
Machine will get an
Horns.
extra large packet. Yeah.
Needs more throat tattoos.
Oh my God. Well, guys, thank you so much. For those who are still listening, of course, thank you. And please like and retweet this show. It helps for the visibility, of course. And yeah, we need more people to see about this because Doc art is amazing. Thank you, guys. See you soon. Okay. Bye bye. Thank you, guys, for coming.
Have a great one.
Ciao, ciao.